Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Wednesday, November 30th. I'm your host, Jon June. And of course, this guy to my left would be my guy, my co-host, Greg Penniman, aka G Money. Greg, how we feeling today, sir?
Doing all right, doing well. Getting close to that final stretch, this final 3 weeks. A few teams got to win out, got to get to the playoffs. Teams hopefully is sitting comfortably, but most of the fantasy people out here need these wins, so we're here to get it done. Got Bills Pats tomorrow. That should be a pretty good game. See the defensive mastermind as Bill Belichick versus this Bills offense should be a pretty exciting game.
Yeah, man.
NFC East,
AFC East.
AFC East, yeah. Both East side has been dominating football this year. It's crazy.
It's crazy, man. I mean, even the Washington Commanders, I think they're what are they in last, and they're 7-5.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty wild there. But the AFC East, yes, we are covering the Buffalo Bills against the New England Patriots today. It is our Wednesday show, so we're going to break down Thursday night football. Just a friendly reminder, there will not be a part one preview tomorrow. We will do all the remaining 14 games on Sunday, or Saturday rather, Saturday morning. So, uh, be on the lookout for that. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, especially that subscribe part, so you can get those notifications for when we do drop a new show or when we do go live, whether it's from Periscope, via Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. So definitely want to stay up to date with the show. Um, but we have to cover some news and some injuries because there are some to cover. This is that time of year where it feels like every win is so important, right? You're running through all this different scenarios, trying to see, okay, what can I make the playoffs? Like, if I lose this week, am I mathematically eliminated? Because no one wants to lose this week. No one wants to lose, during these next couple weeks, or maybe these next 3 weeks if you're doing a week 18 playoff. But focus on winning this matchup, and hopefully it doesn't come to what happens if I lose this week, right? So focus on this week, what you can control, and I promise you that'll take you a long way. But the one thing that we can't control is injuries, and those are going to happen. And so the only thing we can do when those things happen is make sure we have insurance policies before they happen, or that we are reacting quickly to said news. So, um, first bit of news is that San Francisco running back Christian McCaffrey, he did not practice today, dealing with a knee injury. Uh, Kyle Shanahan said he's hopeful that he can play this week. I don't really like the sound of that, but if a lot of people ran to go pick up Jordan Mason because he was the next running back in the game. Elijah Mitchell also got hurt in that game. And so if you've been paying attention to the 49ers, or, you know, um, Jordan Mason basically was active because he plays special teams, and he was the third running back. And so when Elijah Mitchell goes down, Christian McCaffrey, gets banged up, Jordan Mason is the only running back there available, to go take those touches. So Tyrion Davis Price is a name to watch. He's a guy that has, at times when Elijah Mitchell wasn't active, was the backup running back either behind Jeff Wilson or Christian McCaffrey. It wasn't until Elijah Mitchell came back healthy that he went back to being a healthy scratch, because again, Jordan Mason, has the edge on special teams. Greg, do you agree with that assessment, or are you rostering Jordan Mason in the event that Christian McCaffrey doesn't play?
I do like. Tyrion Davis price is probably like the better price right now. Actually, probably a little cheaper to get. People, probably we've seen in a couple leagues he's still on waivers. We've seen probably people go for Jordan Mason, so I think the better value might be Tyrion Davis-Price because we've seen him play before. He's gotten snaps. There's no way it's not going to be in a Kyle Shanahan offense. There's no way we're not going to expect at least a committee at very worst. So he should be involved, and he's still pretty free right now. I would expect him to get at least half the touches. I'm willing to sign up for that.
Yeah, he's definitely free right now. So he's a guy that you can
Or just
literally.
trade for Jeff Wilson back, man. Get him back, yo.
The Niners trade for Jeff Wilson. Yeah, that would be interesting there.
Imagine.
Yeah, but Miami would probably be pretty upset though.
Yeah, they would.
Maybe they could give him Raheem Mostert back, right? Like collect
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
injured running backs.
It's something about 49ers running backs, man. They're cursed.
Yeah, I
They're
was
cursed.
thinking that today. I was like, man, I wonder if Christian McCaffrey looked at the injury report of that running back room before he said yes to that trade. I know you want to go play with Shanahan, but is it worth your kneecaps, right? Like I don't know.
Look
Cartilage,
at
I'm
knee
not
injury,
sure.
man. It's crazy.
um Another injury that happened today, and this one could, he hasn't been playing well, even finished as a top 12 quarterback last week as my start of the week, but it's not something you were excited for. Is Lamar Jackson? He left practice early today with a quad injury, so that's not great news there if you're the Lamar Jackson manager. I think the immediate thought for me was to go pick up Tyler Huntley as a quarterback insurance policy there, because Huntley does run and use his legs. But then you kind of think about, well, Lamar's been a little disappointing, and then they play Denver this week, which I would play Lamar against Denver because it's Lamar, and obviously Tyler Huntley is going to come in and do what he does with his legs, but it's the Denver defense. I mean, they did give up some plays to Carolina last week, and you do have to wonder if Denver has reached the point where the defensive players are fed up. You're not really playing for much these days. There's no playoffs being talked about in Denver, right? So is this a point where Denver is just going to start, for lack of a better term, like start laying down for some of these games? That part I don't know, but with Tyler Huntley, do you feel confident if Lamar Jackson doesn't go to insert him into the lineup this week, or would you look elsewhere to maybe some of these guys that we have listed down as streams of the week?
I mean the guys, that we're thinking about streams a week. I think Tyler Huntley can produce to that level. I think because of his rushing floor that he's going to give. I think the offense should not change much. They're not going to be pass heavy still. I mean, they'll throw to the tight end position, but Tyler Huntley should get a number of yards. Ravens need to win these games, so if it comes down to it, Tyler Huntley's going to get a big rushing number. So I think that's worth having the floor, and he'd be also another guy that's a cheap price. It's probably still free on a lot of waiver wires, so it's worth it, I think.
Yeah, I definitely would say so. That's a great point, right? Like Baltimore does need to win these games, and when you think about just the play calls in general, right? Like it seems as if they're more willing to run Tyler Huntley. Where
Yeah,
I don't
they
know if
don't want
it's
to risk the
he's more
franchise.
willing.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's that he's obviously he's not as good of a quarterback as Lamar Jackson, so he might take more opportunities to scramble and things like that.
that's a good point.
But it does seem maybe that Baltimore is willing to call more design quarterback plays for Tyler Huntley, with him being, essentially, not Lamar Jackson. So I thought there was something else from an injury standpoint. Don't think that if it comes back, then we'll bring it back. I'll bring it back up. But let's move on to those streamers of the week, Greg. And
Yes, sir.
you did say that if he's not rostered over 50%, he will continue to be your stream of the week. So if you listen to the show on Monday when Greg said that, then you know who Greg's stream of the week is. But Greg, why don't you just announce it for those that may not know?
Yes, sir. You already know Mike White, man. He's 15% roster currently in Yahoo leagues. Going against Minnesota. We know what he did last week, but just to repeat that 78 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns on 28 attempts. Like that's very efficient. 315 yards. So he's got he had a good matchup last week against Chicago, and staying in that NFC North. He's got a great matchup this week, going against Minnesota, giving up the most yards per game on average to the quarterback position at 293. So this is a great, perfect matchup for a quarterback that's not scrambling, a passing quarterback, and that's going to dominate.
Yeah, the matchup here is fantastic. Minnesota is not a very good defense. I mean, Mac Jones had his career game against them, 382.
Yeah.
Mike White does that in his sleep. So, um,
Let's go. Yes, Mike White.
uh, my quarterback stream of the week. It seems like we got the little role reversal here, Greg. I'm usually the one picking, sub 15% quarterback roster quarterbacks here, but now I'm
I
picking a
only break the rule
48%.
for Mike White. Mike White's he's a rule breaker.
I mean, you were doing it when he was 1% or
Facts.
2% rosters. So yeah,
Facts.
uh, yeah, you need a Mike White jersey.
I do.
um, my quarterback stream of the week is Jared Goff, 48% roster in Yahoo leagues, going up against Jacksonville. Gets this fantastic matchup where Jacksonville is ranked second in fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position over their last 3 games. They're 8th in terms of passing yards allowed per game on the season. They're bottom 4 in sack rate on the season, while they're middle of the road in pressure rate over the last 3 weeks. This game has the second highest total on the week, behind only the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals game. And Detroit has the 4th highest implied team total on the week. I have Goff as a top 10 play. Love his upside this week. And at 48% rostered, I couldn't help but make him my stream of the week, so I didn't have to sit through him being my start of the week.
Yeah, I think with those receivers being healthy, Mon-Ra's healthier now. He's got Josh Reynolds back, even though he didn't really get him the ball much, but he's still got other receivers. Swift is getting healthier. So, yeah, it helps Jared Goff for sure.
Yeah, for definitely. Greg, who is your tight end stream of the week this week?
Tight end stream of the week, I'm going to Evan Ingram versus Detroit. This is definitely more about that matchup, of course. Detroit, just a bad passing defense in general. Trevor Lawrence coming off his best game of his career, arguably, so he should have a group getting into guys like Evan Ingram. Lions giving up bottom in the league, bottom 5 in the league, and giving up touchdowns to the tight end position per game. So Evan Ingram, I think he can get one here. I think he can get involved. He's been up and down all season, but in weeks he's got targeted 10 times. At four stretches games where he's got targeted at least 6 times. So I think this is a game where he can spark.
Yeah, this is definitely a great matchup, and his quarterback is nuclear right now, right? So
Yeah.
definitely want to stay attached to Trevor Lawrence right now, the best that we can. My tight end stream of the week, if you listen to the show on Monday, you would have known this was coming because I said it during the waiver section. But it's Tyler Conklin, 21% rostered, going up against Minnesota. 3 words for you: Mike effing White. In White's
Yes,
first
sir.
start of the season, he had 3 receptions on 3 targets for 50 receiving yards. Now he gets a matchup against Minnesota, who's allowed the 11th most PPR points to the tight end position over their last 3 games. It also happens to be a revenge game here for the former Minnesota Viking. This game has a sneaky high total at 45.5, which is the 6th highest total of the 15 games this week. And little nugget here for you, Greg. Every game Mike White has started in his career, albeit 4 games, small sample size, has hit the over. So I have definitely Tyler Conklin this week.
Yeah, like Tyler Conklin, we were saying how everyone gets elevated around Mike White, so Tyler Conklin is included. Hey man,
Yeah, and
line like Zach Wilson, a receiver, he'll start just playing amazing. You never know.
the other thing about Conklin, shout out to JJ Zacharyson, the for this nugget, but Tyler Conklin has the easiest schedule in terms of, or the Jets have the easiest schedule in terms of schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to the tight end position. So you got matchups against Detroit and Jacksonville in back-to-back weeks. So yeah, it's a really nice stretch of of run here for Tyler Conklin, who again gets to catch passes from Mike White.
It sounds like a really good stretch from Mike White. That's what it sounds like, as well. Yeah, so we'll just keep it
Wow.
rolling. We're gonna
Is Mike
rename the
White
show.
about to lead people to chips?
Mike White might lead people to chips, man.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. It's crazy. Um, who was it that one year we're like, yo, is this person about to lead people to chips? Who was it? I can't remember. And then they
Uh,
did.
wasn't a Mom Ra, man, probably, but I'm sure
No.
we
It was
mentioned him.
like someone under the radar.
Oh
It
man,
was, yeah.
was it a
I don't know.
quarterback? Must have been a quarterback.
I thought it was a quarterback.
Could have been Jared Goff.
Maybe it
Maybe.
might have been. Could have been. All right. Well, I'll think about it more and we'll come back to it. But Greg, defensive streamer of the week this week. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Pittsburgh. I mean, going against Atlanta. I mean, this is a great matchup for them. Coming off another easy matchup against Indy, they dominated them. 3 sacks, a pick, a fumble recovery. Got Atlanta this week, another week offense. And then after Baltimore, the week after, they have Carolina and then Vegas. So if you need a defense for that final stretch of the season, first round of the playoffs, I think Pittsburgh could be a good hold.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's definitely a great option this week. I really like this one. Atlanta's not been great, and again, I'm convinced. I mean, not convinced. I mean, it's a fact that this is a much better defense when T.J. Watt is
Yeah,
healthy and playing.
absolutely.
So, yeah, definitely easy. Um, my defense stream of the week this week is going to be the Cleveland Browns. Houston is just absolutely terrible.
Terrible.
The Cleveland Browns are 44% rostered in Yahoo leagues. But Seattle's probably my top choice. They get to go against the Rams. They're like 14.5 point favorites, I think, in that game or some ridiculously large number there. But uh, this I prefer Seattle because they're actually good defense, but they're again 58% rostered, I think, when I last checked it. So, they highly rostered. But this is my second choice right here. Again, great matchup against Kyle Allen and Houston, who I don't know, man. Lovey Smith, every time I see clips of him talking in his press conferences, just looks like he's talking himself out of a job.
Yeah, it's rough. That situation is rough. Yeah, Cleveland's probably the definitely the sexy pick of the week. So I'm with that. Like everyone jumped on Cleveland this week. They probably had the biggest jump of percentage. They saw Houston, this pitiful offense, like you were saying, this is all Cleveland should dominate.
Yeah, and then I'll throw out a bonus. It's not necessarily a streaming option, but it's definitely one that people might not look to this week, but for the stretch run for fantasy playoffs, they're really good. That's Kansas City. They're 68% rostered. They got dumped by a ton of by a bunch of managers because they have a matchup this week against Cincinnati, but they played Denver in week 14, Houston in week 15, Seattle in week 16, that's not a great matchup, but then they played Denver again in championship week in week 17.
Oh,
So
they could dominate.
yeah,
Yeah, they
so
could dominate. I wouldn't be too scared this week because the Cincinnati O-line is very weak. They can get some sacks this week. Chris Jones and the boys can make some work happen.
Yeah, definitely. That
Yeah,
if you are in a position where you don't want to drop Kansas City, you could get away with possibly playing them this week. But it just feels like with them getting Jamar Chase back,
yeah,
that game having a high total, like do I want to like I would like it would hurt, man. It would really hurt. But
yeah. Go
yeah,
get Pittsburgh and Cleveland, definitely.
yeah, definitely. Pittsburgh is super. They're like again 23% roster. They're available for sure.
Yeah,
Let's move into some Thursday night football, and obviously we're gonna preview Thursday night football here. I just want to do mention that the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers both on bye, so don't play players from those teams because you will not get fantasy points. And I don't know why the NFL decided to put 6 teams on bye in week 14. Like, doesn't make any sense. Like,
like
6.
one of the most important weeks in, not to mention fantasy, but like just in general for I don't know, like 6 teams. That's
For
ridiculous.
fantasy, no, for fantasy, Greg.
Yeah,
Just say what
for
it is.
fantasy.
For
Yeah, yeah,
fantasy,
yeah.
it's an important week
It
for
is for
fantasy,
fantasy.
and you put six
It's the
teams on
last.
bye.
You need those wins. Like you need those
Need them.
wins. Oh man,
Like it's
it is.
upsetting.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I digress.
Feels like they did on purpose, honestly.
I think they did, man. There's a
Yeah.
conspiracy against me and all my fantasy teams because they knew that I had, some Jonathan Taylor, some Justin Fields, some Christian Watson, which I didn't even know that I would have, right? So like, you know,
Wow, they took away a lot.
yeah, they took away a lot, right? Just it's crazy. So, um, anyway, this isn't about me. This is about Thursday night football. It's about the people, and it's about the New England Patriots taking on the Buffalo Bills, the 8-3 Buffalo Bills, that is, travel to New England to take on the 6-5 New England Patriots, where this game has a 43.5 point total. And the Buffalo Bills, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, are 4.5 point road favorites in this one. In terms of weather, there's no concerns there. We're okay, according to Kevin Roth of Roto Grinders. In terms of the injuries for Buffalo, left tackle Dion Dawkins and edge rusher Von Miller are both out of this game. Dion Dawkins dealing with an ankle, and Von Miller is continuing to deal with that knee injury that he suffered on Thanksgiving, in the Thanksgiving game. So he does believe that he'll be back in week 14, but definitely something. They won't have him this week, but they do get Tremaine Edmonds back. They actually got Trey White back in their last game, so they're getting healthier on defense here. Jordan Poyer's been in and out of the lineup throughout the year, but he's back there. So this is a defense that we've been attacking. I'm not afraid to attack it this week, and we'll talk about that. But definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on as these weeks progress here with that Buffalo defense. But in terms of injuries on the New England side, New England Patriots running back Damian Harris and offensive lineman Isaiah Wynn, they are both out of this game. Few other guys questionable. We know how the New England Patriots do their injury report. In terms of this matchup here, I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take New England to cover. I will take the Bills to win. Um, in
You're rooting for New
terms
England here,
of,
right? Rooting for the
I don't
Pats here?
know. I think I
Yeah,
really don't
you want
know. I I think the best way, because New England has the tiebreaker over us because they
Oh
beat us
yeah.
twice.
Yes.
And so I would prefer New England to go as far down to the bottom as they can. And that still wouldn't make the division unattainable because we play Buffalo next week
Gotcha.
and we already beat them. So if, yeah, so could have our cake and eat it too, potentially.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. But anyway, yeah, I do take New England to cover 4.5. I mean, Detroit covered 3 points. They were able to play this team within three. Both these teams played on Thursday, so no team has advantage in terms of rest. Really, they were both on the road. Um, so on the Buffalo side, Josh Allen QB1, Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver one. Gabe Davis, a wide receiver two. Isaiah McKenzie, I think he's in play as a wide receiver three. He killed the Patriots in 2 games last year. So
Mm,
in that second game, in that last game before the postseason, and then in the wild card round, he absolutely destroyed the Patriots. So
look there.
um,
Nice.
yeah, so he's definitely in play. Dawson Knox, he's been hit or miss lately, but the matchup here is nice. He's been good in 2 of his last 3 games, so he's going to be a top 5 option for me this week. For New England, Ramondre gets the backfield to himself in a nice matchup. Jacoby Myers, he was dealing with a shoulder injury that he suffered in the Minnesota game, which I think limited him, but he's a wide receiver one for me in this matchup if he's fully healthy and can go. Mac Jones definitely has upside, but with the Buffalo defense getting healthier, I don't know if you necessarily have to start him in one quarterback leagues. There should be no reason, but definitely worth a start in Superflex. And then Hunter Henry has intrigue in a game that I do think hits the over here. Greg, where are you leaning with this matchup?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over as well. I'm gonna take the pass to cover and but Buffalo to win. On the Buffalo side, I do agree. Josh Allen, you know, QB1. I think he's gonna rely on his legs a little bit more. I think they're going to again. They probably try to take away some Diggs, but Diggs is still wide receiver one. It's probably why McKenzie does benefit from this, or the secondary receivers. So Gabe Davis, I agree, wide receiver two, and I think McKenzie is a good flex option, a solid flex option this week. Coming off probably one of his best games of the season so far. And then Dawson Knox, the matchup is great for him, so definitely have him as a tight end one option. On the Pat side, yeah, not looking to start Mark Jones. Yeah, unless super flex. Ramondre Stevenson, no, his RB1 season continues. I do like Nelson Aguilar kind of a little bit here to kind of carry over his momentum last week. Jacoby Myers still a little banged up. So yeah, I think he could be that ancillary piece that helps out besides Hunter Henry. So yeah, I'm a little more bullish on him.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense, especially with if you anticipate New England having to come from behind here, play from behind and try to keep pace with Josh Allen and all the explosive weapons they have, they're going to have to try to get the ball downfield, and you know Nelson Aguilar definitely is a big part of that. Their deep passing game, just trying to pull up where he is in terms of his average depth of target. Yeah, he's at an 11.8, which is second on the team actually over the last over on the season rather, behind Devontae Parker. So maybe Devontae Parker is also in play as well. He actually had a good game.
Yeah.
Was it last week or the week before? So definitely, I think one of these other auxiliary pieces for New England is going to bring back production. It's just really trying to pinpoint which one of these guys is going to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's get into some bold predictions, aka some prop bets. And you know what? Let's go ahead and play that.
I like it.
So I'm gonna go here. I got a twofer.
Okay.
A nice little parlay.
Okay.
I like the Ramondre Stevenson 70 plus rushing yards. The line on FanDuel Sportsbook was set to 63.5.
Correct.
I think he can go to 70. There's no Damian Harris. Buffalo is formidable they can be beat on the ground. So it's definitely, have this. Let me just look at this really quick because this should give me a better idea. In terms of standard scoring, Buffalo allows the most PPR or the most standard fantasy points to the running back position in our last 3 games. So it's not catches. It's not. It's not really. It's not receptions that's doing it for them. It's the yards and the touchdowns. So even if you want to take the touchdown prop, it is minus money, even though he hasn't scored in a couple weeks. But he, so they do like that. But I do like the 70 plus rushing yards. The other thing I like is Dawson Knox over 30.5 receiving yards. He's got actually 50 plus receiving yards in 2 of his last 3 games. Had a 70-yard game and a 50-yard game. What didn't do so well last week against Detroit, but New England's been susceptible to getting beat by the tight end position, and I think that just based on the production that he's had over his last 3 games, that 30.5